Hello, Robs. We're back with Bukowski in the Bathtub, Recollections of Charles Bukowski by John Thomas, collected and edited by Philomene Long, 1997. We return with Chapter 9. Household Remedies. John. Bukowski's first time on marijuana makes a pretty funny story. Philomene. How was that? John. It was the first time he bought a lid. Actually, in those days, it was a lid. A Prince Albert tobacco tin with a hinged lid. It would hold about an ounce of marijuana. He'd smoked it before, or so he said. And he had surely smoked it a few times at my place. But he had never bought any, so I guess he'd won some money at the racetrack and spent $10 at my place for an ounce of pretty good grass. If I recall, it was something called garbage grass because it would lay a smell on your fingers like you had been handling garbage. And for that period, anyway, the 60s, it was pretty powerful. Philomene, what's so interesting about that? John, wait. So he took his lid home with him and came back a day or so later saying, John, what's going on? You people must be crazy. I said, what do you mean? What are you talking about? He said, it's that grass you sold me. I took it home and I was there all by myself. I was going to get a real good high. The first thing I did, I took a bath. Philomene, of course. John, I said, you're always taking fucking baths. He said, I know. I wanted to get all clean and virgin and pristine, so I got out of the bathtub and dried myself off and put on clean undershorts and a brand new white t-shirt. Philomene, now it's getting interesting. John, and then see what happened? He was sort of grousing. He said, I went into the living room, got some cigarette papers, opened up my new lid of grass and rolled a great big joint. He said, how do you guys do it? My big bomber was all lumpy. Anyway, I laid down on my back on the rug and lit my joint and lay there puffing on it, looking at the ceiling. Jesus, it was like fireworks. There were all these fucking little explosions. Sparks kept dropping down and burning holes all over my brand new t-shirt. Philomene, so those were real sparks? John, yeah, real sparks. Wrecked my fucking t-shirt. Some of the sparks even burned through and burned little blisters on my chest. I mean, what the fuck? Philomene, and you said? John, I said, Hank, you got to clean that shit. He said, what do you mean? I cleaned me. Was I supposed to give the marijuana a bath too? Philomene, I'm waiting for the funny part. Me too, and the interesting part. John, I said, Hank, that stuff is full of twigs and seeds. You've got to take those out. That was marijuana seeds burning holes in your t-shirt. He said, that was a beautiful t-shirt. God damn it. And this, I'm not going to buy anything from you but LSD. Philomene, I'm still waiting. John, your LSD will make me miserable, but at least it won't make a bonfire out of my t-shirt. That's all for now. Philomene, that's it. And the LSD did make him miserable. I had turned him on to his first acid a month or so before. Philomene, you were turning him on to everything? John, well, now the LSD was very good stuff. I didn't want to waste it on him, so when he first came over that night, I gave him some DMT. Philomene, oh my God. John, the Reader's Digest trip, so called because it will knock you on your ass, but it will only last 20-25 minutes. Then you're straight again, but for 25 minutes or so, it will knock you on your ass. Philomene, did he take a bath to prepare for that one? John, no. He wanted me over to watch him. Philomene, isn't DMT the elephant tranquilizer? John, DMT is the alkaloid in ayahuasca, or some people call it yage. Philomene, ah yes, the yage letters burrows. My God, these guys are boring. John, extra strong, extra quick. In fact, these days people are calling it the yuppies lunch hour high. So it's a liquid and you soak it into mint leaves. Then you put a pinch or two of the saturated mint leaves into one of those little brass opium pipes and light it. Philomene, then everything. Probably even this story is funny after that, right? John, the stuff I had anyway. You wanted to be sure you were sitting down with your back against something before you lit it up. I've seen people split their scalps wide open, falling from a standing position, falling straight back on a wooden floor. Philomene, everyone was taking anything they could get those days. John, some were taking up their valuable time preparing and smoking dried banana peels and even imagining they were high. Philomene, household remedies, drinking cough medicine because it was loaded with codeine, morning glory seeds, magic mushrooms. John, Scotch broom. Philomene, people thought you could take aspirin and Coca-Cola and get high. John, we used to make beer out of Wonder Bread. Philomene, are you serious? John, yeah, you need a bunch of loaves of Wonder Bread and a metal pipe. You jam the pipe full of Wonder Bread, then slowly pour warm water down through it. The water would turn a pale, pale yellow. You'd be pulling sugar out of there and flour and yeast. Then you'd take that pale yellow stuff and pour it through again and again. Finally, it would start to foam, and you could add a little sugar and seal it and bury it. So if it exploded, it wouldn't hurt anybody. When I was really young, I remember smoking pretzel sticks. Philomene, I remember it was etiquette, a simple common courtesy to turn the cats on. John, I remember watching someone smoking kitty litter. Philomene, why was everyone using, do you think? John, aside from the element of fashion, if you can't change the world outside, change it inside. Philomene, many of their insides turned into corpses, thankfully. John, back to Hank and the DMT. I loaded the little pipe, gave it to Hank, and held a match over the bowl, and he huffed it all. Nothing happened. Philomene, uh-oh, that's a bad sign. John, he didn't even hyperventilate, and you usually hyperventilate on Philomene, DMV. John, DMT. He just kept talking about his most recent horse racing system. Nothing. Half an hour later, I gave him another hit. After 5 hits, I gave up on him, and he got the big stuff, the LSD. Philomene, were you trying to kill him? John, the other stuff should have gone through his system by then. Philomene, your system. John, in about 20 minutes, he stopped talking about horse racing and started shivering and began to talk about his abdomen. John, he said, wagging his head, what is this stuff? I said, what's the matter? He said, I've got a lump of ice in my stomach the size of a bowling ball, and it's sort of jiggling around down there. The next thing he said, and he said it again and again over the next 6 hours, John, the man who can rule his stomach can rule the world. He never asked for LSD again. Philomene, that's a good one. Who can rule the stomach? But I would add the tongue. John, he drove home late the next morning, went straight to his bathtub and sat in it for 8 hours. My God, what a fucking tedious read of ultra stupidity that was. I would fucking burn it if I could, but I can't because I have some brains in my head. All right, bye.